Is this happening to you in the dirt late model? Well, if so, stick around because you are not alone. This is a really common problem that I get asked about a ton. And in this video, I'm going to show you what it is and most importantly, how you can fix it. Stick around. What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. And like I said, we're going to be taking a look at the dirt late models and a really common problem that people have been having since the new tire model. Now, keep in mind, this problem people had before, but it's really been exacerbated with this new tire because of the level of grip that the new tire has. Now, what this problem is this is where drivers are having an issue with the car snapping to the wall. Okay, now a lot of times this problem is caused by a driver being in the slick, giving too much throttle, the wheels spin, and then when it grips up because of the left rear bite of the car, it wants to just snap up to the wall. The same thing happens in the wing sprint cars. But these cars will also snap down to the left as well. And drivers are really confused because they don't know what's causing it. They don't know why it is. It will happen even when they're not in the slick. They could be on a tacky track and this issue can still happen. So what is the cause of this? Well, the cause of this is your trailing arms, particularly your right rear trailing arm. Now, the left rear trailing arm can cause problems too, but the right rear trailing arm seems to be the big time culprit in all of this, okay? And so I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how you know it's your trailing arm and then how you can fix it, all right? So, first of all, if we look at this, iRacing has a little explanation on here. If I highlight over this, you can see, trailing arms hold the rear axle in place longitudinally. We already know that stuff, but it'll say higher angle, looser on corner entry, tighter on corner exit in left-hand turns. Now, this is true, but it's also kind of false. And the reason for this is when you look at these trailing arms now, because these tires have got so much more grip, there's two types of loose. You can be loose because your tires aren't getting grip and the car just wants to slide around. But you can also be loose because your right rear tire is getting too much grip and it's driving the car around, okay? So this is something that drivers get confused on a lot, and it's really easy to because we don't have that seat of the pants feeling. We don't know if the tires are spinning and causing us to be loose or if the tires are got too much grip and causing us to drive around, okay? So the first thing that I've been telling people lately is when you are building a setup, or if you have a setup that you've gotten and you've got this problem, the first thing that you want to do is put your left rear trailing arm to 22 and your right rear trailing arm to 18. I find 4 to 6 degrees of arm split, which is, where the left arm is higher than the right arm, at least that's what I call it. 4 to 6 degrees is a pretty good place to start. 22 on the left, it seems like a really good place to start. And then 18 on the right seems like a good place to start as well. And this can be for tacky, slick, whatever. It does not matter, okay? Just this is a good place to start, all right? Now, when you do this, it's going to change your axle lead. Make sure that you zero that back out, all right? You want to re-square the rear end, at least when you're trying to figure this out. Now, if you're building a setup and then you want to actually add lead or take it out to, optimize that setup, that's a different story. But when you're trying to figure out this problem, zero it back out because you don't want any lead in there because that can make the problem feel much worse than it is, or it can actually hide that problem, okay, if you use the axle lead. So zero it back out, all right? And then go back out onto the track and then just run a couple of test laps. The thing that you want to make sure that you're noticing is number one, when you're coming off the corner, okay? Let's actually get a run here. When you're coming off the corner, what's the car doing when you're rolling into the throttle? See right there, it's pretty straight. It's not too bad. And then when you get to full throttle, see how it's nice and straight? That's what you want to see, okay? You want to see the car nice and straight when you get to what I call the transition. The transition is that point where when you come out of the corner on exit and you're going to straighten your steering wheel back out and roll into the throttle. That's the transition. So you want the transition to be smooth, all right? Now, If your right rear trailing arm is too high, what'll happen is this. I'm going to jack this up, and we'll zero that back out. Let's go back out again. Let me actually record this. I'll show you what it's doing in the telemetry. See how it does that right there? See how it just wants to pull? Right there at the transition. See how it wants to go to the wall? That's when your right rear trailing arm is too high, that's what will happen, okay? So that's how you're going to know if that right rear trailing arm is too high. And what you want to do is you want to bring it back down, okay? Either go to 22 and 18 like I showed you, or bring it down 2 degrees, go out, try it again, and keep bringing it down until it gets to where the car feels comfortable on the exit of the turn. One thing you'll notice is yes, this will affect the entry some, but it won't make it to where now the entry's junk. And if you guys have ever watched anything that I've ever put out before, you know how big or how important I think the entry is. Dirt racing is cornering speed. How fast can you get through the corner? And your corner is 90% entry. But the problem here is that when you've got the car doing this on the exit, it's going to screw up your next entry. That's why this is so important. You got to have a good exit if you want your next entry to be good. Okay, so that's why this is so key that you actually get this dialed in. Now, if you find that when you're adjusting those trailing arms that it's actually affecting your entry some, there are plenty of ways that you can fix your entry. All right, I mean a simple, shock adjustment, spring change, J-bar. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways that you can readjust your entry. You really want to get these trailing arms correct because these are absolutely critical with this new tire model. Your trailing arms are so important. They really are, okay? So that's what happens when the right rear is up too high. Now, let's actually look at the left side because this is something that a lot of people don't think of. Because when your left side is too high, what can happen is now, I guess I should actually put it in gear, huh? What can happen is that now, because the left side's so high, your right rear is going to actually have so much on it in terms of the dynamic weight, because that's how the trailing arms are really affecting the dynamics of the car. And with this new tire model, dynamic weight is super critical, super critical. And what's going to happen is now your right rear is going to have too much, and it's going to actually want to dive down to the inside. See right there? I mean, it just did that just as I was rolling into the throttle. See how it wants to pull to the left? And it can be really slight like it was that last corner. That time we hit the wall, but it can be really slight or it can be a lot. And then what happens is now you cross back up and now you're zigzagging down the straightaway. Okay, so like I said, if you've got a setup that you've been running and then all of a sudden now it's like, man, this thing's pulling to the left or this thing's snapping to the right, adjust those trailing arms. Okay, and there's no set angle that there's no rule in terms of like the left has to be higher than the right or they got to be close to even or anything like that. Like I said, there's times where I'll have the right side higher than the left because I'm going through this exercise and getting it dialed in. But I will typically start off with 22 on the left and 18 on the right. That's kind of my go-to now in terms of starting. The base setups that I put out when this tire model first came out, if you notice, they were actually like even. It was like 20 and 20. I've since changed that. I go 22 and 18. I add a little bit of arm split, and it seems to be better for me. And then if my car is doing that, wanting to snap up to the wall on the exit, I'll drop that right rear down. And if it's wanting to pull, down to the left, I'll drop that left rear down, okay? And then also, if it's wanting to snap up to the wall or it's wanting to push up to the wall, okay? And maybe your right rear isn't that high, one thing you can do is raise the left rear because that'll also counterbalance that, okay? So it works both ways, all right? Now, I told you I was going to show you what it's doing and bring this over. Let's load up the last two that we did, which was the right rear too high and the left rear too high. Okay, so if we look at this first one here, all right, where the right rear is too high, and I bring over the track so we can actually see where we're at. You can see when the car snaps, right? See how the weight unloads? Look at this. See this right here? If we go over here and zoom in on this and scroll over so I can center it. See how this right here? See, we've got 664 on the left and 675 on the right rear, and then all of a sudden that thing just unloads. That's the suspension unloading because that thing's doing this, and then when this left rear's gripping back up, right, we go from negative weight, okay, to 421 pounds of dynamic force, and now all of a sudden that thing just shoots right up to the wall. Okay, so that's what's happening. The dynamic weight is just way out of whack. It's too uneven and it's causing that problem. Okay, and if we look at the opposite side, okay, you can see here now we've got where the weight is actually crossing over. You see this right here on the rears? Where we've got the right rear and the left rear crossing over, and that's what's causing, now we've got so much right rear drive that car is actually rotating down and pulling us down, okay? And then we're having to counter steer and go back up, and that's why it's causing that zigzag effect. And you can see even here on the front what's happening, right? Where that suspension's unloading and causing lots of problems, and that's where the thing just gets all out of whack and the car falls off the bar and then it wants to get back up, okay? So that's the issue. It's being caused just by the trailing arms, right? Just by the trailing arms. So these are super important that you get them dialed in. And like I said, you can go 22 and 18. Like if you go 22 on the left rear and 18 on the right and don't touch them and adjust other stuff, you'll be fine. Okay, you'll be fine. In our league, I've been running, I mean, that and close to that, and I've been running up front with some very, very good late model drivers, right? Like this is not a scrub league. These are very good late model drivers. So it works. It's not like some, special seat, like you've got to have the left rear at 30 degrees and the right rear it's, 22 to be fast. Like that's not the case. All right. You've got to have this car comfortable so you can drive it and make sure that you can, roll in and out of that throttle and be smooth. That's the key to being fast with these things. All right. So anyways, you guys, that is going to do it all for this video. Really quick, short, sweet, to the point, but I just wanted to share that because like I said, I've been getting a ton of questions about this. I get hit up about this at least, no joke, 5 to 7 times a week. I've got somebody sending me a message asking me this saying, hey man, my car is doing this. What's the problem? Like how can I fix it? And if they're not driving straight through the slick and, smashing the throttle, which most of the guys aren't, a lot of the people who are asking me this are very good late model drivers. And if you're not doing that, okay, then it's the trailing arms. I will bet you dollars to donuts that you've got your trailing arms way out of whack. All right. So I just wanted to show you that. Hopefully this will help you. Okay, but that's going to do it. Thank you very much as always for joining me. And really quick, do me a favor before I go. If you like this, hit the like button, share, subscribe, all that other good stuff. And if you want, I'm actually doing a Road to Pro Dirt Late Model masterclass. If you want to learn more about that and how you can actually get the Motec workbook that you just saw, I'm going to be giving that as a bonus in this training. I opened it up for 25 people. I've already got 5 people signed up. It starts in like 2 weeks. So if you want to learn more about that, head over to schoolofsimracing.net/pro and you can learn about everything that you're going to get in this program. It's going to be a really good one, man. We did it in the sprint cars and it was a huge success, man. Huge success. Guys who went through it in the sprint cars have just made huge leaps and bounds. It's been awesome to watch, and we're going to do the same thing in late models, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to check that out, like I said, schoolofsimracing.net/pro. And if you want to get anything else, all the free stuff that we have, the free late model setups, the free big block setups, you know, the wing sprint car free setups, all that stuff is on schoolofsimracing.net. I'll have a link for you down in the description below. And then also you can join me for my live streams. I live stream now on YouTube Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. This week we've actually got the Kings Royal that we're running in our league. On Tuesday night we're going to be running the night before the Kings Royal, and then Wednesday night is the Kings Royal, and we've got like a $400 purse, no entry fee. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. So if you want to join me for the live streams, make sure you check those out. Got to be, you know, subscribed and hit that notification bell so you know when I go live though. But anyways, you guys, that'll do it. Thank you very much as always for joining me. Until next time, I want to wish you good luck, good racing. Take care.